All right, so boom, these past 2-3 weeks or so, really a month, my whole YouTube feed has just been filled with MMORPGs, good, bad, anything in between. And I don't know if I just miss having a grand fantasy adventure, playing with other people online, or just simply getting a whole bunch of loot with like dungeon raids. It's probably the loot, it's usually a loot. But I peeped that World of Warcraft actually has a free trial where you can play the first 20 levels free, which is a little different. So I definitely want to try it out. Previously, the only MMOs I've sunk time into really are Wizard 101, RuneScape, which was one of my first videos on this channel actually, is me going through my old school RuneScape account, DC Universe Online, and New World if anybody remembers that game. But it's time for something new. Ever since I was a kid, I heard about World of Warcraft, and in my eyes, it was always the ultimate fantasy adventure. I know about the decline that has been going on, but as a new player, all this content is kind of a dream. And above all else, I get to play the first 20 levels for free, so I'm not going to argue with free 99. Now, will this free trial turn me into a World of Warcraft fiend? I guess you'll have to stick around to see. Let's get started. You start with this pretty cool cutscene, but honestly, the whole time I was wondering where the dragons were. And before I can finish my email of false advertising, there we go. Now the question is, can I get a dragon before the free trial is over? Now I started with making my character. With the character selection, I feel like the warlock felt the best. I feel like being a mage in the World of Warcraft fits perfectly, and for whatever reason, I usually end up playing support, so it's nice to have that change of pace to be straight DPS. After making my character as accurate to me as possible, it was time to choose a name. Surprisingly, Incredible wasn't taken, and we're off. After figuring out what are my moves on the customary training dummy, like with any fantasy game, you shipwreck and miraculously survive. I wasn't too sold on the warlock at first, and I actually considered going back and trying another class till I saw you can have minions, and it helped a lot because I didn't see anybody basically the entire game, and I love either I win or we win type of attitude. That's a team player right there. I then collected some porcupine meat, hey, whatever floats your boat. Then I got to what I thought was the most interesting part of the tutorial. Look, I haven't played RPG in a long time, so I remember some decently bare bones tutorials. This is the first time I've seen a class mentioned by name and told exactly how to play it. And I just really enjoyed that little detail. Also, the game was surprisingly wacky right from the start, randomly getting on the Scanomatic or whatever it's called to riding a giant boar through enemies. And that was the first suggestion on how to save Henry. Just forget everything else. Giant boar works every time. I then killed some spiders and saved the rest of the crew. Weirdly, I had jumped into the middle and killed the boss once already, so I had to come around and do it again. Since I did the right way the second time around, it went how it was supposed to, and I got this cool little cinematic. Up until now, the game had been comically easy, but I did run into this giant bear mini boss type situation on the way to the Dark Citadel, and I did have to manage my health a little bit in that fight. And just being easy isn't a knock for the game. I'm not for throwing players straight into the fire, but hopefully this was a preview of what was to come. I then get to transform into an ogre and infiltrate to then uncloak and fight all the ogres anyway. While slaying all the ogres, I think I started to get what my build was really about. It's about controlling large groups of enemies along with your minions, hitting some with fear, draining others with damage over time, and of course, you and your minion taking down an enemy together. I enjoyed it, and this was the most fun I had in combat so far. I got my first foe raid experience, which was kind of cool, and of course, in true fantasy fashion, you get to fight a dragon. The tutorial was cool. My only knock was Henry was a little whiny. I don't get how your mind's so tough, but you're scared at every turn. But I feel like I left the tutorial with a decent grasp on the game. After all that, the tutorial is complete, and I finally get to go to the main player hub, Stormwind.
One of our airships approaches.
A true testament to the strength of the Alliance.
I may have lost all the footage, but in Stormwind, I was introduced to specializations, and honestly, I was blown away. Every class has multiple specializations with fleshed out skill trees, so you can spend an absurd amount of time on just one character. I'm not sure how balanced it is one of the clear flavors, or you should use a certain specialization for certain things, but I think I'm starting to grasp what gets players hooked. I then got sent out to be a diplomat, but something bothered me while I was playing. Like, the game just didn't seem real updated. And then when I looked, it made sense. I realized I'm playing the expansion that dropped in 2018. And those expectations immediately went away. I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna judge this like this was made in 2018. And after playing the game for 2 hours, I realized I can order my minions around, which I should have expected. To be honest, I just didn't look that hard. Then 10 minutes later, I realized you can change specializations whenever, and I got rid of my minions. I took a detour kind of messing through the menus. Also seeing all the sets for your character and exactly how to get them. That's just a really cool feature. And then messing with the settings some more, I learned how to move with just the mouse and auto target enemies. Thank goodness, made my experience way better. I wanted to break away from the story and try out some more of the game, like dungeons or the professional system. I finally got into a dungeon. The mechanics are very interesting. No standing around clicking buttons really. I got left behind on multiple occasions. You have to keep moving. Honestly, I just followed a group and I had little to no issues. Weirdly, the dungeons were rated 10 through 60, so everything must be scaled. Funny, I actually ended up doing 2 dungeons because I had no idea how to leave the first time and they queued up another way. But the best way to describe what was going on in dungeon is it was basically chaos. Lots of enemies, lots of powers going off, but set roles. I'm gonna assume it's more important in higher level play. Honestly, when I was playing outside the tank and some damage dealers, I ran into little to no issue. Also, when I was queuing up, I found it cool that you can mark yourself as an experienced player. That'll help get new players through. Also, of course, I spent some time looking at the cash shop and the items kind of threw me off. You can play with straight money, which is insane. Just straight up $25. Can you at least make it feel like I'm getting a deal? Also, when I was messing with the menus, I found boss descriptions and what each class should do in a specific boss fight, which is just super cool just to have that information out for people. I then enforced child labor laws the only way I knew how before heading out to trial professions. But I queued up for the trial style on the way there and was very confused. After getting stuck in the trial style for 20 minutes, I finally get to where I was going, professions. I did a bit of browsing and ultimately decided on blacksmithing and of course enchanting because I'm a warlock and all. Also found out that blacksmithing and mining don't go hand in hand, so my only profession as far as I'm concerned is enchanting right now, which I use quite a lot, breaking down magic items just on the fly. I hop back in the story for another ship crash just to drive home that this is a RPG and help my man stumble home after a very questionable night out. And soon after, I get the dreaded please subscribe screen. You can still run around the world and do whatever, they just snatch your XP bar, you just can't earn anymore. From what I'm seeing, I enjoyed the dungeons the most probably because it's one of the best parts of MMO. Fighting alongside with other players, playing your role and helping your team. I can only imagine picking a priest or another class that can do multiple different things. I can switch between a healer, attack, etc. Things like that. I wanted to try out each specialization. If you're wondering why I'm using completely different spells in different parts of the video, I started with demonology and I think I enjoyed that one the most because as a warlock, you're not supposed to be in the mix and it really helped kind of distract enemies and keep them off of me. But that's the first one I tried and I actually didn't switch back till level 19, which was kind of a bummer. There weren't very many players, of course, and I wasn't a high enough level for raids, so I didn't get a glimpse of what it looks like. And I think it's really a missed opportunity. I don't think it's the best way to introduce players to World of Warcraft, especially having them play through 5-year-old content. My experience probably been better if players are automatically sent to Dragonflight or just a place that's more populated in general. Because I can count on both hands how many players I saw, and that's kind of the point of me playing an MMO. But with all that said, I do still see the vision. I do see what keeps people hooked. So if you want to see some more World of Warcraft gameplay, please comment down below, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and click on another video. Y'all have a good day.